Well, tonight I'd like to talk
Hmm.
about our current situation.
Sorry.
And specifically, I'd like to make an analogy with the Warsaw Ghetto. Now, many people may have forgotten that during World War II, the Jewish people were herded into ghettos before they
That's
were
right.
finally led to their eventual extermination in the death camps of Auschwitz and Treblinka, etc.
Right.
This was just an official kind of mechanism for efficiency. But in 1944, as the Russian army became more and more successful and beat back the Nazis, the remaining Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto saw their opportunity to revolt, to
Mm.
rise up against their oppressors, because they saw that their chains were about to be unbound, and
Right.
that they could fight back and have a chance.
Hmm.
Now, a reason I mentioned this is because it seems to me that we are in a similar situation. Our
Hmm.
jailers, what we call the cabal, or the military industrial complex, or the 13 families, or the uh, bloodline dynasties, or whatever you want to call
Right.
the
Sure.
organizations or the secret societies that have kept us imprisoned for so long and have treated us almost like serfs and slaves,
Yep.
may be overthrown.
Mm.
They may be overthrown by a an outside force. Now,
Right.
I'm not going to be able to go into certain details or name names about what this outside force might be, but let's just put it into an analogy with the Warsaw Ghetto in 1944.
Right.
In September, October of that year, the enemy was at the gates. The enemy was not the enemy of the Jewish residents of the ghetto; it was the enemy of the Germans, and that enemy
Right.
was the Red Army,
Right.
massive in power, massive in
Sure.
force, and it
Yep.
encouraged that uprising. And that uprising, using smuggled weapons and fighters in the sewers and any means at their disposal, rose up and fought their oppressors for freedom and succeeded until they were betrayed. They were
Hmm.
betrayed because the savior stood back and waited, did not
Right.
intervene, and the Germans were able to regroup, go back, clean out the ghetto with flamethrowers and massive cannons, and demolish downtown Warsaw, which for several years was just a moonscape of crushed buildings. And the uprising was forced to surrender.
Right.
And as soon as it was forced to surrender, then the um, Russians launched their offensive.
Right.
Now, why would this situation happen? Well, it's called get rid of inconvenient people.
Mm.
Freedom fighters are inconvenient because you don't control them. They're
Right.
sovereign. They're
Right.
independent. They're not under the control of any government. They're not under the
Sure.
control of any system of management.
Right.
And
Right.
unfortunately, in the world we live in today, individuals are often snookered. They're often
Mm.
hoodwinked. They're
You bet.
often uh, uh, induced to reveal themselves for eventual elimination.
Sure.
We can see this in the operation of the internet.
Right.
People post their comments on social media,
That's right.
and somebody's always in the background taking notes, taking names,
Yep.
recording IP addresses,
Of course.
and creating a compendium of dissidents, people who don't fit in, and who could be eliminated later in order to create a smooth transition to a new society. is that a new society, or is that just a changing of the guard? In other words, we have the prison, and we have
Mhm.
the old guard, and they are overthrown, and we now have a new guard, and the
Right.
prisoners are still in chains and
Yes.
still oppressed.
Mhm.
And is that the way that you maintain power? Is that the way that humans are being treated to this day? Is that what you see around you when we're told that there's a savior coming? Someone is at the gates of our prison.
Right.
They might have orange hair.
That's right.
They might have, who knows? They might come in UFOs.
Right.
They might have
The
flying
Savior
saucers.
program. You bet.
There's somebody there that's going to come and help us out and release us from our bondage. But all you got to do is raise your vibrations,
Right.
rise up, and fight off your previous jailers, and therefore you'll be somehow free.
Mm.
But that's not the way it's going to be. Stop.
Wow. Very